Hey everybody! Welcome to our January devotion series from our first daily devotion book. If you're following along, we're on day 4, and day 4 is called Uncomfortable Truths. And the scripture is mostly, or it's exclusively, it's from the book of Daniel, mostly focused on the story of Nebuchadnezzar and these 3 guys who are part of his staff, for lack of a better word, who happen to be Israelites. Their names are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and so these are really fun names to keep staying on a video that I don't want to delete any more than I already have. This king, Nebuchadnezzar, has declared that everyone should worship this golden idol that he's made, and the uncomfortable truth is that these 3 guys refuse to do that. They speak truth to this king, they have faith in their one true God of Israel, and they refuse to follow his idols. All the way up to the point where Nebuchadnezzar, in a fit of rage, throws them into a furnace to teach them a lesson. And I think something that's sometimes missed when we tell this story, and this is a story that's written kind of comedically in the Bible, so it gets told a lot. I think we use it in Sunday schools with kids because it talks about the power and protection of God. But one thing that I think we miss is that these 3 guys don't actually have the kind of faith in their God that says they are absolutely sure that they're going to walk out unscathed, and they're going to be protected from this fire. In verses 16 through 18, they basically say, if our God can protect us, that's great. If not, we still know the truth, and we still have faith in this God, and we are not going to worship your idols. And I think this is important when we consider what it means to speak uncomfortable truths and to live into that. Nebuchadnezzar isn't actually interested in worship or faith or a deity at all. He's interested in power. He's created the idols, he's made the demands, he's made the threats, and he expects everyone to fall in line. But once these 3 Israelites survive, they end up walking out of the fire unscathed. Their God starts to look really good to Nebuchadnezzar. He wants to align with that kind of power and the kind of power that might bring to him. And by the end of the chapter, he's making threats on behalf of their God. He is just really interested in this power piece. And while I don't want to minimize the power of our God, I do want to acknowledge the disconnect between what Nebuchadnezzar is looking for and God's real power, which is, God's real power is demonstrated more in these 3 Israelites' willingness to resist Nebuchadnezzar's abusive power than in the fact that they walked out of the fire unscathed. God's power is subversive, and it calls us to act differently, even when it's uncomfortable. So their faith is really the power of God. Our devotion suggests what that can look like for our money, to live differently in a world, to speak truth to power. Rather than bowing to the power and abuse of capitalism, perhaps there's other ways to use our money that gives it a godlike power rather than a golden idol-like power. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, they didn't run out to the desert to live as hermits any more than we can easily remove ourselves from the way of life that we live here in North Texas. We're not asking anyone to do that. The scripture's not asking us to do this. It's asking us that in the midst of that situation to make different choices, just like these 3 guys did. That might feel like an uncomfortable truth to our financial advisors or even to ourselves, but I might suggest that the real power of money is not in how much of it we can collect, but what kind of good we can do with it in the world. And that is a discomfort that I'm working hard to embrace because it feels safer to live into the power of keeping the money to myself. And it's not easy, but just like our 3 guys, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, I think that's the last time I have to say it, ended up in a furnace, it doesn't give us any guarantees, that any more than they had a guarantee when they went into the fire, but it does chip away at those who would hold a false power over us. And it acknowledges that God's power just might and is enough for us.